Aaron, Keown, to you first. Why was the cycleway such a surprise for you?
Well, we had already planned and signed off the works along in front of the museum. It was a surprise to me because I didn't know we were doing any works at this point past the Armour Street Bridge, and to lose an entire lane along Park Terrace made no sense. In fact, the first time I drove past it, I thought, oh my God, what's that?
Yeah, it does look pretty strange. And what I can't get on with is the fact that on Park Terrace, there's already a shared cycleway, isn't there?
Absolutely. There's one along the parallel to the road, and also one inside the park. There's another path in there. So plenty of room for cyclists, plenty of room for pedestrians.
James, you said this came as a surprise for you, but I do know there was some report that did suggest that this was coming. There was a cycleway coming. So why the surprise now, I guess?
That was the exact reason why I asked the question in the meeting. It's quite irregular that you'd have a set of innocuous resolutions, which was just around basic safety. I think it was around Hereford Street and Gloucester Street at the western end to coincide with the museum works. All made sense, belts and braces. But what was strange was attached to that report were a whole lot of designs which showed quite controversial plans, which certainly raised a number of red flags for me, further north down Rolleston Ave and Park Terrace. So I flagged that with staff and I said, look, what's this? You talk about these temporary works further to the north, and then you've got designs of them. They're going to be really controversial. This is the sort of stuff we'd need to workshop. There's nothing in the resolution about it. And they said, no, this is just an FYI to give you a bit of an idea of our thinking around it and what's informing it. But there's no decision to make here. We'll bring back a paper to council on that, and council will decide about that. So my take on that was that the temporary works were going to be approved by council. However, not so. So that's what's taken me by surprise.
Okay, Aaron, you've got the likes of Sarah Templeton saying this shouldn't come as a surprise to either of you because this was a foregone conclusion and that you guys were well briefed on the situation. What do you make of that?
Well briefed is a stretch, and like James said, we did know of aspects, but taking out an entire lane of traffic and putting in a temporary cycleway for 5 years with permanent infrastructure around it is the sort of thing that you'd expect feedback from the public on. Also, this is to support the works at the museum, which are 3 blocks away. Why on earth there's suddenly going to be so many extra cyclists along there because of the works at the museum? Just makes no sense. And so I think it's good the Mayor's called this out, and James has spoken well on it as well, and Sam McDonald. So I'm supporting my fellow councillors and Mayor on this.
James, where to from here? Because some have suggested that perhaps the staff inside council wield too much power. Of course, you've got those on the left who say, of course they don't, they're just doing their jobs. But, you know, politically they're probably more aligned with each other. So you've got that in the background too, don't you?
Well, it's probably not completely unheard of for the tail to wag the dog. You know, that suggestion has been made. Whether or not that's happening here, look, I'm not sure. Some people think that it was quite clear that cycleway was going ahead. I think that there's potential argument for that to be done under the guise of temporary works to try and get this sort of cycleway put in without people having an opportunity to have a democratic process around it, because temporary works don't allow for consultation, they don't allow for people to come in and make submissions and talk about it, and it genuinely doesn't allow for elected members, people like Aaron and myself and Phil as the Mayor and others, whose neck is on the chopping block. So we get the brunt of it and unelected staff members don't. So, you know, whether it was a bit of underhandedness from staff members trying to sneak something through under the guise of temporary works, don't know. I think what is clear is that these delegations are clearly broken because there was a lack of clarity around it. Councillors like Sam McDonald, myself, Victoria Henstock, Aaron, you know, and of course the Mayor, thought that the answer to my question, that it would come back to council for a decision, meant exactly that it would come back to council for a decision. That's what we were told, and that's not what's happened. And that was specifically why I sought clarity on it. So, yeah, I am a bit unhappy about it. Whether or not it was underhanded, I don't know. But I think what's really clear is that we can't continue on like this because the delegations in these temporary works are clearly farcical.
Aaron, I know that this whole saga has been described by, I'm not sure who said it now, but devious. The whole thing looks a bit devious. Do you agree with that sentiment?
That it's devious? I'm not sure. I think it's more a case of that staff do their own thing so often that have they deliberately set out to do this? I wouldn't go as far as to say that. But do they have too many powers? I would think so. I'm worried that alarm bells didn't go off for them, that they should have been signing it off before doing the works. That's kind of the big issue for me here.
All right. Councillors Erin Keown and James Gough, our three-way conversation work. Thank you so much for your time this evening.
Pleasure, Chris.